Hi everybody. So in this example of VLOOKUP, we have I guess an overall situation that has multiple problems. So I would be kind of remiss, I would not be really doing my job if I weren't to show you situations where you can run into where the VLOOKUP will not work. You will sit there pulling your hair out trying to figure out why it's doing what it's doing, and you'll basically just kind of give up. All right. I'll tell you, the main thing that you're going to run into or I should say, whenever you run into a problem with VLOOKUP where just everything you do it just doesn't work, it's usually because the lookup value that you're looking up on, that does not match in data type as the table array is, whatever that format is. So you'll see it as we go along here, but it's usually because of mismatched data, and that's going to be one of our problems in here, and we got other ones as well. All right, so to start out with, before we even get started with this, actually, I'll tell you what. Let's do this first, and then it'll end up not working, and then I'm going to show you where we have to go to correct it. Okay, we'll just do it that way. I don't mean to waste your time, but I want you just to see this. I want you to notice when you look at the fact that we're going to be referring when we do this. I'll explain what this all is. We're going to be using this as our lookup. It's going to be the PO number. When you look at the number there, and you look at in the table array, the numbers here, okay, they both look like numbers, don't they? Well, that's, looks are deceiving. So let's go back over to F2. Now here's how this works. Every time we take an order from a customer, most of the time they give us a deposit, and we reference that deposit on the PO of the order. All right, so not every one of these is going to have a deposit on it, but I'm just saying that the ones that do have deposits, if we go back to our table array here, these are the PO numbers, the ones that we got deposits from, and these are the deposit amounts. Okay, now I will tell you this, probably almost maybe a half, maybe less than that, don't have deposits. So it isn't a matter of, well, why don't you just maybe put these in alphabetical order, right? And then, or numeric order in this case, and then put this in numeric order and see where it is, and you can kind of match it up. Well, as you know from what you've seen maybe in the other VLOOKUP videos, it's like, why would you even waste your time? Take a minute to put together the formula, and it makes all the difference in the world. I mean, it saves you so much time. My God. All right. So anyway, so normally what we would do then, we say equal, VL as usual. There's our VLOOKUP, and we're going to say, okay, we're going to look up, the deposit based on the PO number. So there's the PO, comma, all right, and then we're going to go over and tell it that the table is over in this other area here. So we're going to go ahead and select from E to J. Now, I made it a point of making this nothing in between here to prove the point that it doesn't matter how your data is laid out as long as the first column is whatever your lookup value is, right? And I've said that, before. And it doesn't matter what you've got in between that and what you're wanting to pull in. In this case, we're going to be going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns over. So it's going to be that comma 6 thing that we did, right? All right, so anyway, so you get that area selected. Great. Then we do our comma, and then like I said, when we find the PO number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we put the number 6 in there, comma, and definitely, because we'll have some very unhappy people, exact match, right? So there we go. Maybe some happy people too, but probably not. Anyway, at least half. All right, so we do that, entered in, and we get an NA. And it's like, well, NA, when we're doing VLOOKUP, usually means that that PO number does not exist in the list, so therefore, oh, they probably didn't give us a deposit. And you say, well, okay, I think. And then you go ahead and you copy this all the way down. You're going, well, wait a minute, there's something up here. Every single one of these is wrong. Now, what happened? Well, here's what I was leading up to. Even though the numbers here and the matching numbers over here look the same, they're not. And here's a good way of testing it. If I select any number of numbers here, usually what will happen, just like if I selected these numbers here, which are real numbers, I mean, you know they're numbers, you select that, you look down here, it'll tell you what they average to and what they sum to, right? But if you go and do this one, right, any range you want, all it's going to tell you that is I've selected 14, there's 14 items that I've selected. That's all it's telling me. Well, that's also a clue to let you know that even though it looks like a number, it ain't a number, all right? Now look at this. If we go over to the PO data, right, that we have here, I go and I select those numbers. Hey, they average, they sum, so no problem. So these are numbers, and this is basically text disguised as numbers, all right? Now the trick is, how do you go about changing those into numeric format? Well, when you look at this, when you're on, let's say, just this first one here, you might say, well, I've got this thing up here. Maybe I could use that to change. So I'll just select a few here so you can see this. So I select that, nothing's going on down there. And then I go up here and I say, okay, I'm going to change them to numbers. Yeah, that's a good one. Number, all right? And I do that, what happens? Nothing. All right, so that didn't do anything. So here is the trick. There's a few tricks to doing this. This is probably the easiest one, okay? What you'll do is you'll click onto the first one here, all right? And we'll do a Control, Shift, down arrow key, and we'll select all the numbers. Now, you don't have to do that. I mean, if you don't want to use that technique, you can sit there and drag and drag and drag to get down there, but I don't think that would be a good idea. So go ahead and we'll bring that back up here. Okay, so that whole thing has been selected, and now what we're going to do is we're going to do a right click on it and hit copy. Okay, cool. And then we'll do another right click on it, and this time we're going to basically paste it back as values. Now, how do we do that? Well, this guy right here is your values. This is one we had used before, if you've watched other videos, where we were able to take an area that what you're looking at is produced by formula, and we're able to remove the formula and leave behind just the value that the formula gave us, and that had advantages. So we're using the same technique, but to kind of transform these. Now, if I go and hit that, then it seems like it did something, but it doesn't look like it did anything yet. I mean, I'm looking down at the bottom, and it's still not adding up anything. I mean, adding up how many there are, but that's about it. But you'll see that you got these little green wedges in there. That's a little dead giveaway. And we have our wonderful little smart indicator here. So the smart icon, what we'll do is we'll click onto that, all right? And it says that currently your numbers are being stored as text. And it's like, oh, thank you, Hal. So now what? Do I ignore the error? Well, no. If I ignore the error, we're not going to get anywhere. I would like Hal to convert to a number this entire range. So every text number that we've got here, I want to convert into an actual number. So all you have to do is you click on it, convert to number. Voila, you are done. All right? And I love this too, because in the olden days with this, when you would do this, you'd end up having to redo your formula. But it seems like it worked. So when I look at the deposits here, okay, so this is our where we did the formula, you can see on this one there was a deposit. A number of other ones had deposits, but the ones with NAs are actually no deposits. In other words, this particular order with this PO number, that PO number did not exist in our PO data, so therefore it gives us the NA. And that's fine. That's fine, except, I mean, it's fine if all we did was go up to F and that was it. But the whole purpose of this is to show what the order was for, what their deposit was, and what they have left to pay us. All right? And we're not getting that here because anytime that you introduce an error in a calculation, when you calculate an error into your calculation, or introduce an error into your calculation, you get an error, okay? So that's crazy. So how the heck are we going to get around that? Now, one person might say, well, we'll sort the column, all right? We'll get all the NAs together, we'll type in a 0, and then we'll drag that 0, we'll copy that 0 all the way down until we're at the end of those NAs, and that'll take care of it. Well, that will, except there might be a possibility that you might be adding more PO numbers to this, okay? And therefore, if you add more PO numbers to that, then this will automatically update as needed, okay? So that's not going to work if you put zeros in here and wipe out the formula, all right? So what do? Well, what we do is we introduce a function that surrounds the VLOOKUP called if-error. If you've watched previous videos, we did a little bit of that with some other examples. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the first one, all right? We're going to go right between the equal and the VLOOKUP, and we're going to type in IF, and then we'll just do a double click on if-error, just like that, all right? So what we're basically saying is if an error occurs while doing this formula, okay, then comma, so comma, put a 0 in place of the NA. Okay, that way 21 minus 0 will be 21, see? So we do that, close off the parenthesis, hit enter, and there we go. Now it doesn't look any different there because that one was fine, but now we'll go ahead and we'll double click this to copy it all the way down, and there we go. So the way I have this formatted is zeros are showing up as little hyphens, but other than that, it's working perfectly. So that is how you fix it, all right? So that was the major problem here, was that mismatched data. And I'm sure any of you that are watching these videos, or watching this video especially, and you've maybe done VLOOKUP before and wonder, why doesn't it work this time around? It might just be because of that, all right? So we had that to contend with as far as the formatting, and we also had to contend with the NA, which is a natural thing. It's not a bad thing, but how do we deal with that in order to use, that field or that column in a calculation, see? So everything worked out good. So thanks a lot for watching the video, everybody, and hope this helps you out in your future ventures. Thanks a lot.